everyone, in this video we're looking at how to compute the 5-number summary and create box plots using Excel 365. So I'm using this sample data set. These are numbers generated by ChatGPT that are supposed to represent the number of hours customers spent using a software during its 30-day free trial period. So we have a list of 21 values here ranging from 1.5 to 20. In a previous video, I showed how to compute the 5-number summary, which includes the min, quartile 1, median, quartile 3, and max by hand, and kind of explaining what those values represent. And we also talked about how to generate box plots. This is the box plot at the bottom of the screen here that I made in that previous video. I'm not going to go into details about those things here. You can watch that video for more details, but I want to show how we can do this with Excel, particularly for larger data sets. So the 5-number summary in Excel can be computed with these 5 different functions. So the min is computed with the function equals min, or equals min, and then the 3 asterisks I have in my formula here represent the data values. So you could either list those values with commas, or more likely you would highlight the values in whatever cells you have them stored in. I'll show an example of that in just a moment. Quartile 1 is going to use the QUARTILE.INC function. There are 2 different versions of the quartile function, and I will look at both of those. I'm using the INC, or includes, version, and notice that this function takes 2 different inputs. The first would be your data values, and the second is telling it which of the quartiles do we want. So if I want quartile 1, I'm going to put a 1 here. Notice that for quartile 3, I'm using the exact same function with the data, and then I put in 3 for quartile 3. The median can use the median function, equals median, and the max can use the max function. So here's what this looks like in practice. I have my data values in column A in my spreadsheet, and I've made a little list here for my 5-number summary. So my min, I'm going to do equals min. I'm using all caps here, but it doesn't really matter. You do need a parentheses to start the function, and I'm going to just highlight column A, or you can highlight the individual data values, whatever makes sense for your data. So I'm doing the min of column A, and my parentheses, press enter. This gives me the min value of 1.5. Quartile 1, I will do equals quartile dot. And you'll see that there are 2 different quartile functions. So one is exclusive, EXC, and the other one is inclusive, INC. The difference between these 2 is when you have an odd number of data values, does that median number, the one in the middle, should that be included when you find quartile 1 and quartile 3? You can either include it or exclude it. This can result in slightly different answers. They're typically not very far apart because it's just a difference in kind of shifting between one data value and another. But these can give different answers, so it's something to be aware of. If you're working on a homework problem, for example, and getting the answer wrong, you might try the other version. We are going to use the INC version, the inclusive version, but both are perfectly fine. It's just different approaches to this calculation. So quartile.inc, parentheses, I select my data values. Now you'll notice that if I end the function right here and try and calculate it, Excel will give me a warning that says you've entered too few arguments for this function. What this means is that the quartile function takes 2 different inputs. One is an array of our data values, and the second one, separated by a comma, is which data value, or which of the quartiles we want. This is quartile 1, so I'm going to type a 1 here, and pressing enter, I get my first quartile, which is 3. That would be this data value here. It's halfway, it's essentially the median of the first half of the data. The median of my data set can be computed with equals median, parentheses, highlight my data, close parentheses, enter. My median is 4.8. Quartile 3 is going to use the quartile function again, quartile.inc, or EXC if you're using the exclusive version. Highlight my data, and then again, comma, and then tell it which quartile I want. Here I want quartile 3. And the maximum can be computed with equals max, parentheses, highlight the data, close parentheses, and there's my maximum value. So my quartile 3 came out to 7, my max came out to 20. These are the same values that I computed by hand in the previous video. Just as an aside, if you want to, you can compute all of the 5 numbers using the QUARTILE.INC function. We used the QUARTILE.INC with quartile 1 and quartile 3, but it can actually compute quartile 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. The 0 and 4 correspond to the min and the max, and quartile 2 is equivalent to the median. So if you wanted to, you could use the QUARTILE.INC function for all of these, but it's not really necessary. I think the min, max, and median functions are a little bit more intuitive. And of course, we could also compute these with the EXC version for any of these values. The exclusive version isn't going to make a difference for the min or the max or the median. It just might make a difference for quartile 1 and quartile 3. Finally, when we found the 5-number summary before, we used it to create a box plot, and I talked through what that represented and how we can interpret it. In Excel, the box plot that we're looking at will be a little bit different than what we see when we create them by hand. Excel does vertical box plots. So in this image here, we can see that the number of hours that the customers used the trial software is on the vertical axis. And then I have my box plot drawn with the bottom or the end of the first whisker starting at, I believe that was 1.5. Up to the bottom of the boxes at 3. The median shows at 5. The top of the box shows at 7. And Excel will also include the mean as a little X. My mean is at approximately 6. And then the whisker, or the upper tail, doesn't go all the way to the end of my data values because Excel by default will identify outliers as dots instead of including them in the tail. You can change these settings, but this is just what the box plot will look like by default. So if I switch back over to Excel, I can show you how to create this. One common mistake with creating the box plot is that Excel wants to see the original data, not the 5-number summary. So you actually don't even need to have computed the 5-number summary to make a box plot in Excel. I'm going to highlight the original data values, then go to Insert and the Charts section, and in the middle of the charts on the Insert ribbon, there is a category called Insert Statistics Chart. There are 2 options in here. There are histograms and box and whisker. So I'm going to choose the box and whisker plot. I'm going to hide my ribbon. So here's what my box and whisker plot looks like by default. I have, again, that vertical axis representing all the data values. It's drawing the box and whisker vertically, starting down at the minimum of 1.5 and up to the outlier of 20. I do need to give this a title. You might also consider labeling the axis to be clear about what those values are. If you want to do that, go to the Chart Design tab. Add Chart Element is the first option on the left, and you can add an axis title to either of these axes. The horizontal axis doesn't really represent anything on a box plot, so I usually will just double-click that number and press Delete, but it's not a big deal to leave it there. So my vertical axis here is hours, and you can also resize this to fit the data well. A couple of things to note on the box plots. If I double click on the box or some portion of the box plot itself, it will open the Format Data Series settings on the right-hand side, and I want to go to the Series options, which is represented by 3 bars. And you'll see a couple of different options here. One is this checkbox to show outlier points. If I uncheck this, it won't do dots for the outliers. It will just continue the whisker up to the top. So you can choose whether you want that or not. And you can also change what type of quartile calculation are being used. So we used the inclusive median calculation in our 5-number summary, so I might choose to use the inclusive median here in the box plot. Notice that this actually affects the outliers that are identified because the inclusive quartiles are sometimes a little different than the exclusive quartiles. That can affect our IQR and outlier calculations. One last thing is that you can also turn off the mean, which is not typically part of the 5-number summary, but Excel usually includes that as a little X. So you don't need to change any of those options, but you can if you wish. One other thing that's really nice about box plots in Excel is that if you have a couple of different data sets that are related, you can easily create a side-by-side box plot for them. So if I highlight both columns, go to Insert, and choose that box and whisker plot, you'll see that it creates a box and whisker plot with 2 on the same graph. If you do have more than one, you probably want to add a legend. So in Chart Design, add Chart Element, Legend, and that will give a label to which data set is in which box plot. And you'd still need to edit this and add titles and whatnot. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching.